Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Jacqueline Whitmore, and thank you for watching my LinkedIn Live today. I am super excited about my guest today, and I know you will be too. I feel so lucky, so fortunate to have him as my guest. Just to give you a little background information, a few weeks ago when I relaunched my LinkedIn Lives, I decided that this year my theme was going to be living an elegant life. But today we're going to take it up a notch. We're going to be talking about living a brilliant life. And our guest today is none other than Simon T. Bailey. And before I bring Simon on the screen, I want to tell you a little bit about him. First and foremost, he's a friend. He's also a fellow CSP, which is a certified speaking professional, which is a high designation given by the National Speakers Association, in which we both belong. He's an author. He's a businessman. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a friend. But let me tell you, he's got credentials a mile long. So let me just share with you about a little bit about Simon. His framework is based on his 30 plus years of experience in the hospitality industry. And that's also something he and I have in common, including serving as a sales director for Disney Institute, based at Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando. He's a prolific author and a Hall of Fame keynote speaker that has worked with hundreds of companies. And when the world opened back up, he continues to set the world on fire because he is a dynamic speaker. And I just can't wait for you to meet him. So I'm going to just bring him on. Hi, Simon.
Hey there, friend. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I love your background.
Thank you.
So bright and cheery, just like you.
Thank you, my friend.
Listen, I wanted to ask you about this amazing topic. I mean, you have written many books about brilliance. So let's start at the very beginning. Let's talk about the landscape of your childhood. And were you born brilliant?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story I have never really shared. When I was 8 years of age, my mom and dad were called to the school because the principal told them that I was hyperactive. Today, they would call that ADHD. I was just out of control. And back then, my mother didn't want to put me on Ritalin. She just went old school. And my mother would come in my room at 3 o'clock in the morning with a bottle of oil and she would pray over me. And she would pray, God, please calm this child down. Now, my father, on the other hand, would reintroduce the Board of Education to my seat of understanding. Today, they would call DCF. So to answer your question, no, I was a bad child. I was struggling throughout school. I was at best a D student. I think I was in the bottom half of the class, Jacqueline, that made the top half of the class possible.
No way. I don't believe that because first of all, I'm glad they didn't quell your enthusiasm because it makes you who you are today. And people are just absolutely in love with you when they hear you speak and when they hear your story. And I have to say you are an amazing storyteller, and that's what drives your points home. So where did you grow up?
Grew up in Buffalo, New York. Go Bills! This could be the year. Woo!
Excellent, excellent. And were you an only child? Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I have three brothers. So one brother is still in Buffalo, New York. Mom is 81. My father transitioned a few years ago. I have a brother in Toronto. And then my other brother lives right outside Cairo, Egypt, where he's the middle school principal at the diplomat school over there
Oh,
in Egypt. So, yeah.
wow, that's amazing. Excellent. Well, I want to touch upon the concept of brilliance, because as I was telling our viewers prior to bringing you on, my theme this year is living an elegant life. I'm an etiquette expert, as everybody knows, but I want to take it up a notch. Let's talk about living a brilliant life, and what does that mean, and do we all have the capability of doing so? And when, I mean, is now the time to focus on that? I mean, tell us a little bit about your concept and how you came up with this concept.
Well, my mentor said to me one day, he asked me how I was doing. And quite honestly, Jacqueline, I said to him, if I had white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, it would be easy for me to succeed in America. And my mentor was white. And he said to me, you're stuck in your mind and your body thinking the pigmentation of your skin is which creates the world that you want. He said, you weren't born to fit in, you were born to be brilliant.
Mhm.
And when he said it, something just like clicked in me because no one had ever told me that I was born to be brilliant. So literally for the next 7 years driving to work, I was bawling because, guys don't like to go and sit on a sofa and talk to a shrink. But I was processing, oh my goodness, I was born to be brilliant. You mean I don't have to live an average life? And that's where the journey really began. I was crying and I started taking notes. And I said, wait a minute, living brilliantly is waking up to realize I love the skin I'm in. I love who I'm becoming. I love the difference that I can make for myself. And here's the deal, until you love you, you can't love anyone else. So living brilliantly is saying, I love me, number one. Number two, I care enough about myself that I'm going to be kind to myself when I talk to myself so that I can be kind to others. And I think the third thing, it's waking up every single day to live in a place of joy. Because when you find your joy, you find your voice. When you find your voice, you find your freedom. And when you find your freedom, what? You live brilliantly.
You speak to a lot of corporations, and this message that you just conveyed to me doesn't necessarily fall into a corporate category. Do you talk about this subject and all the things that you just told me to CEOs and top managers all over the country and all over the world? I mean, is this I mean, because somebody might say, well, this is a little bit fluffy. Like with my subject, I say I'm an etiquette consultant. Oh, well, you mean you're going to teach me how to use a knife and fork? No, I mean, maybe I can do that. But does this resonate with people of all levels?
Yes, it does. And let me anchor it with a little research. In fact, I just gave this presentation a few hours ago. Gallup organization in their 2021 workplace study report, where they've looked at 190 countries, looking at what is the key issue happening in companies. And the number one issue is employee wellness, because they're saying roughly 7 out of 10 people are stressed out at work. And when people are stressed out, that impacts the bottom line. And hence, you have the great resignation. And the reason you have the great resignation is because people are sick and tired of working in a place of business where the leader is emotionally clueless and doesn't give a rip about that person. So when I come along with this message, my message is all about helping people become better human beings so that they can become better for themselves and then better for the company. When they become better for the company, what you discover is that leaders create the experience for employees, employees create the experience for customers, customers drive revenue. Reverse engineer, revenue comes from customers who've been engaged by employees who are well, who work for a leader that cares about them, not just seeing them as a social security number in the HR payroll system.
Well, the world needs you more than ever, especially now with the morale so low, and there's so many companies that are um, just hungry to find the right type of talent. And this is such a wonderful message if we could just get it into every HR department. I mean, wow, we need to clone you. Wow. Well, you go way back to Disney days. In fact, that's one of the things you and I have in common. I worked for the Walt Disney World Dolphin. You worked for the Disney Institute, and I know that uh, you are using some of those principles now. Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I use more so the stories of what I learned while I work there.
That is so important, especially in the speaking industry. It's not
Sure.
necessarily just telling, it's coloring our objectives with stories. And as I mentioned, you are a master storyteller. So, will you just share one of those stories with our viewers about what you learned at the Disney Institute? Maybe one of the stories that you tell in your programs um, that lead up to being a more brilliant person.
Sure. So, whenever you joined Disney, and this is back in the day, you would receive an invitation in inner office mail in the yellow envelope that had the string tied around it, right?
I remember.
That's how inner office mail used to travel. This is back in the tape cassette days.
Yes, I remember when you had to leave messages on an answering phone, and we had Rolodexes.
Yeah. So I received this invitation to have breakfast with the president, which was really an honor for cast members. And I had to show up at Disney's Yacht Beach Club Resort on a particular day. And if the invitation said arrive at 7:30 a.m., I got there at 6:45 a.m. And I noticed that there were name cards on the table where people were supposed to be sitting. And back then, I was a little bit of an eager beaver. So, what would you do if you were in my shoes if your name card wasn't next to the president? Hmm.
Hmm,
Nobody's around. Okay, I'll do a little switcheroo. So
bad etiquette, Simon.
I was working it. I was working it, Jackie, back then. So 7:30 comes, and I'm sitting next to the most powerful man at Disney at the time. His name was Al Weiss. He was president of Walt Disney World. And you're on a first name basis. So Al says to me, "Hi, Simon." I said, "Hi, Al." I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure." I said, "What do I have to do to get ahead here at Disney?" And he said to me, "Jacqueline, you need to know who you are and you need to know why you're here." And when he said it, it just whoosh, went right over my head. I was like, "Really, dude? Really? Is that it?" I didn't say this to him. I just gave him the screensaver face. And it hit me about 10 years later. And what I really began to realize is that when you show up, most people show up to work a job and they're given a paycheck. But when you understand who you are and why you're here, you realize that a paycheck is given to you for when you show up, but opportunities are given to individuals who think and work beyond what they're paid to do and realize it is about being purposeful, not just positioning. And it was a huge learning for me back then.
Wow. How old were you back then?
Oh my goodness. I know I look 40. No, I was in my 30s. I was 31. I was 31.
Okay, so you weren't a little baby. You were
No, no,
okay. Wow.
no, no.
Interesting, interesting. Well, I have a few questions that I would like to ask you about what have you learned since leaving your job at Disney?
Oh my goodness. I've learned that if you're going to do it right, make the investment. Don't go cheap. One of the things that I really walked away from Disney, the question is often asked, how many people does it take to change a light bulb on Main Street USA, right? And it's like a tongue-in-cheek question, but the point is the attention to detail, to do it right the first time, and to make the investment to just in yourself, in your business. I'll bring it even down to your wardrobe because everything speaks. So that's probably the first thing I learned. If you're going to do it right, make the investment. The second thing I learned is hire for attitude, train for success. Training doesn't fix what management doesn't catch. And what happens is if you hire a person who is more negative than an undeveloped piece of film, all of the training does not train or take away that negativity. But if you hire a person that has that attitude, they have what Marie Forleo calls figure out ability. They'll
Mhm.
figure it out to get it done. And I think probably the third thing, which you know very well, and Disney would call it a magic moment, I call it a brilliant moment. How do you look for an opportunity to realize customer service is a department, but customer love is a mindset? And it's about creating those moments. How do you create an emotional tattoo on the head and the heart and the hands of those that you serve?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, what do you do with those negative Nellies? Those people who, well, at first you thought, well, this is a good candidate. His resume looks great. He wears a suit well. We'll go ahead and hire him. And then 6 months later, you find out he's not what you thought he was going to be. I mean, can you train someone to get out of that negative mindset? What advice do you give to managers who have to deal with the negativity?
Well, first of all, research says that if you have an employee that you are paying $36,000 a year, to lose them, the turnover cost is about $12,000. So I think it's easier to figure out how do we retain them. So number one, it starts with what is that person's appreciation language? Because sometimes people just need to be appreciated and valued for who they are as a human being. Dr. Maria Music at the University of Michigan, she's a clinical psychiatrist, and she says human beings need three things: to be seen, valued, and understood. So, how does leadership or management come alongside that person to make sure that they're seen, valued, and understood? And then the third thing, to really help them turn the corner, look out for what they're doing right instead of what they're doing wrong. Because when you identify what they're doing right, oh my goodness, amazing things happen.
Wow. That so everybody is trainable, you think?
It's all depends on the individual. You
Mm,
know, they have to have the want to. If they don't have the want to, there may come a time when you have to invite them to find their happiness elsewhere.
mhm. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So, what when I was looking at all of your books, how many have you written now? 5, 6, 7?
Just a few, just a few.
Okay, you've written a few, but they all seem to have, that brilliant theme, and when I was looking at one of them on Amazon.com, I noticed that you have different areas of life that you can
Mhm.
apply brilliance. Can you talk about those areas really quickly?
Yeah, so there are 8 core areas that I teach in the book Release Your Brilliance: spiritual, health, family, social, money. When you think about money, it's understanding the difference between money and wealth. Money is what you get, but wealth is what you give. When you understand money, you don't chase after money, you pursue wealth, and wealth is not something you do, it's who you become from the inside out. When you become a better human being who comes from a place of kindness, kindness is wealthiness. It's understand when I understand how to be a kind human being to humanity, it doesn't matter what I have in the bank. Yes, money is important, but it's about really recognizing when I'm wealthy on the inside, I don't chase money, money chases me, because I understand that in the law of reciprocity, what you give will return if it's given in the right spirit.
Wow. And you're speaking my language, of course. When I talk about kindness, I also think that it's important to keep in mind the law of reciprocity
Yes,
because even just a kind word to the cashier at the
yes.
supermarket or saying hello to your neighbor who's walking his dog, those little moments, those moments are the things that really matter. It's not necessarily the big things that we do, it's the little things that
That's it.
thank yeah,
That's it.
the little
Yes,
things. Yes.
yes, yes,
And
yes,
I know you believe that too.
yes.
So we have a lot of people right now who are searching for their life's purpose. We have a lot of young people who are moving from job to job. We have, I used to teach college students back in the day. I love teaching college students because they are so hungry for this type of information. And so, what advice would you give someone, a young person who's just transitioning from campus to career, who is looking for his purpose, who he may not necessarily know what he wants to be or what she wants to be when she grows up, but she wants to do the best job possible. But where do we begin? I mean, where do you begin? You have kids. I mean, don't aren't your kids like college age now?
Yeah, I have two in college. They don't listen to me. They listen to everybody else. But here's what I would say to those who are searching. And my answer, I mean this with all due respect. A lot of times people say, you gotta find this grandiose purpose. And simply put, start with what's in front of you. Take one step to serve someone else who can do nothing for you. Life is a scattered puzzle, and there are pieces all over the place. So there'll be an opportunity to do something here. That's a piece of the puzzle. There'll be an opportunity to make a difference at work or in the life of someone else. That's a piece of the puzzle. And as you put one foot in front of the other, serving from a deeper place, hugging people with your words, finding out how do I serve what's in front of me? One day, and I don't know when, you're going to see the big picture and put all the pieces together. That's your purpose. Your purpose is to start with the first thing in front of you, being in service to humanity. That's how you find your purpose. And when you find it, Aristotle says, where the needs of the world intersect with a problem, therein lies your vocation, your calling, your purpose, for your reason for why you're here. So just get out and start walking, serving,
Mhm.
loving, helping.
And stop overthinking it, right? How do you
Totally.
how do you stay so optimistic, Simon? I mean, every time I see you, you're just so full of life and optimistic, and I know, I mean, life gets in the way. We've both had, um, challenges in our lives. What do you do when life throws you that curveball? I mean, how do you get through those days where you just feel like, wow, do you ever have you ever I'm sure you felt defeated. I'm sure
Listen,
we all
listen. Whoever says they have not felt defeated, they are lying. And I got a piece of land to sell you out back later on. I mean, seriously, I have moments all the time. And when you've been through, I certainly know a little bit of your story, but after being married for 25 years, going through a divorce, having a cancer scare. I mean, my mom got scammed out of $70,000. She's 81 years of age. My father passed away. I can go on and on. But every day, I decided to do a few things. First of all, I went to therapy. Most men don't like to go and sit on a couch with a therapist named Anita that has more degrees than a thermometer, but she will tell you whatever you don't deal with will eventually deal with you. So I had to do my work, had to go to therapy. And I think the second thing is I had to get up and eat my own cooking. So if we are always sharing with people, be motivated. How about it starts with you? So I started writing in my journal. I started moving towards forgiveness. There were so many people I needed to forgive. And I learned how to surrender, to let it go so I can let it come. And I do it every single day. I had a moment this morning at 4 a.m. where I was like, what the heck? What am I doing? And I've been doing this 19 years now. I left Disney 19 years ago. And I just literally started breathing. I just started taking a deep breath and I let it go. And then I started writing because writing is therapeutic. And as I began to write, I realized I was healing, finding my own healing within myself because I knew I had to serve a client today virtually, right? I had to show up, but I had to start with me. So it's a constant daily decision that I am perfectly imperfect. I am flawed. I have made more mistakes than you could count on both hands, but I'm still here. And that means I still got some living to do.
You certainly do, and you're making an impact all over the world, and you've made an impact in my life, and I appreciate all of the joy that you're bringing, and that in itself should make you happy. Oh gosh, I am so delighted that you shared your time with me and our viewers, and you're generous enough to give a little freebie to everybody. And I believe that's going to be in the show notes. So tell us a little bit about the freebie.
So, one of the things that I've discovered is everyone needs to understand how to shift. And shift is an acronym that perhaps stands for See How I Fit Tomorrow, starting today. So, everyone will get a chapter, the first chapter of my book, Shift Your Brilliance, Harness the Power of You Incorporated. So, it's my gift to really give people some tools on what they can do to really begin to see differently and harness their power.
Thank you so much. And what's next for you, Simon? What are you planning? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh my goodness. So I've got a new book coming out in a few months. It's taken me 3 years to write it. I've been working professionally 35 years. So it's going to be called How Do You Ignite the Power of Women in Your Life? A Guide for Men. And
What?
so I'm going to have a real frank conversation with men under 50 that if you really want to succeed in the future, you have to do right by women. You have to. Like, I'm not even saying you should. This is a must. And it's because of the failure and the mistakes that I've made. And I get really raw and honest. And here's just a little insight.
Mhm.
Women don't need their power ignited. They need men to understand how to cherish who they are and do your work. And when men cherish who women really are, you unlock the spark within you. You ignite yourself. And when you come into a relationship with a woman, you begin to see her for who she is and who she is becoming, not who you think she needs to be.
Wow. I bet you're going to sell that to every woman on the planet who wants their man to read it.
My wife gave me permission to write it. So.
Well, promise me that
Yes,
you'll
yes,
come back and talk about your new book
I
when it
will.
comes out, and
I
it's
will.
coming out this year,
It'll
this
be
summer?
it'll be out, maybe around Mother's Day, you know? So yes, yes, we'll let you know for sure.
That's the perfect gift, and,
Yeah.
women are the majority of book buyers out there, so I think you're really onto something. I can't wait to read it.
Yes, we're having a little fun. It took me 3 years to write it, 10 to 15 rewrites, and I wasn't gonna write it, but it was my wife who encouraged me. She said, "You need to finish this book," and hence, right, she ignited me to say, "Get it done." So
Yes, and
yeah.
congratulations on your marriage. You're,
Thank you,
how
thank
many
you.
years into your marriage are you now?
We are a year and a half into our marriage. And oh, I forgot to tell you, we just had our first grandchild 30 days ago. Her name is Halo. And I said, I'm not granddaddy, I'm G Pop.
Wow, Halo, I love that name.
Yeah.
Sweet, how sweet. Well, congratulations on
Thank
all
you, my friend.
your success
Thank you.
and for bringing so much brilliance into this world and for helping those of us who wanna be brilliant to be more brilliant. So, and for our viewers, if you would like to get in touch with Simon, his website, I'll just show it here. It's simontbailey.com. You can find all his books on Amazon. And if you like this show, I would love for you to subscribe and show your thanks. Give us a thumbs up and follow Simon on Instagram. I know you're on Instagram,
Yes.
Facebook,
Yes.
LinkedIn, all of the above.
Yes.
So thanks so much again, Simon.
Thank you so much. And hello, Miss Nelson. I see Miss Nelson is joining us from
Oh,
Trinidad and
yes.
Tobago. Hello.
Hello, Miss Nelson from Trinidad. And we'll show her little comment. There she is.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for acknowledging her. That's another reason why you're so brilliant. So
Oh, thank you, my
thank
friend.
you. And Simon, I appreciate you
Thank you.
and I appreciate our friendship.
I do too. And you know what? I have to tell you, I so appreciate who you are as a human being, your kindness, your heart, your wicked smart, as they would say in Boston. But most importantly, you are always finding a way to make people feel valued and celebrated and seen. And so I just want to salute you for being just an awesome human being that I get to call my friend and someone that I know.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for everybody for joining us today. We'll see you next time.